Hi, this is Carl the Clock Doc again, and I'm posting this video to warn you of some of the idiosyncrasies of some of the movement suppliers for quartz movements and hands. Now, if you do this business for a living, you know who the large suppliers are. I'm not about to say who they are because that's kind of a trade secret. But occasionally I will buy from a hobbyist company called Klockit. They are out of Wisconsin, and they have bought a couple of the other hobby supply houses that deal with clocks. Their movements are very expensive. They have some different faces that aren't normally available, and I buy some of those now and then, but I tend to like to buy their quartz movements because they have some higher quality quartz movements than most. This is a high torque movement. I bought 4 of these, and they came today or yesterday in the mail, and they are made by Quartz, and they are out of China. They're expensive movements, $7.50. Most clock customers that favor quartz movements, quartz clocks, don't really want to pay a lot for a clock or a movement. So we go with a good quality movement, which I think this is. The best quality quartz movements, the high torque movements, this is a high torque, are produced in Germany and Austria for and by Hermle. High torque means they can take large hands, and you need an extra little bit of power for these hands to operate properly. These large hand quartz movements clocks, large dial clocks, are now pretty popular among the common clock buying public, and that's their prerogative, and it's my job to keep the public happy. So I repair these, and usually the clock comes without a high torque movement, which is why they break. And there are lots of retailers across the country that sell these, and they usually find their way to my shop within about 6 months to 8 months. Customer usually paying an average of $60 to $150. Okay, so what we got here today from Klockit is we had hands that I requested my secretary to specifically request that they match to the movement that they sell. They change their catalog numbers frequently, so it's hard to know. Klockit changes them frequently, so it's hard to know what hands match what movement. All of them have a little dissimilarity, but most are standard bore hands. This is not. We've got this hand shaft here, which we turn this on. We've got it zeroed. We measure it, and we come to find out that it is 104 thousandths. 105 thousandths. That's good enough for our purpose. So we take this over here. This is a standard bore movement, and we come to measure out and find that it is 110 thousandths. 5-6 thousandths. What kind of difference is that going to make? Well, it makes a big difference. So what we have here is a hand that'll fit a low torque movement rather perfectly. But we come to find out that to fit our high torque movement that we just ordered with brand new hands, there's a lot of wobble. What does that wobble mean? That wobble means that when we assemble this movement...
Put your hand away.
When we assemble this movement...
I lost you. Okay, there you go. Can you... There we go. I couldn't see it.
What it means is when we assemble this movement... And you don't want to crank the nuts down on these, because the hand nuts will pull the shaft. When we assemble this movement, and we give it to the customer, which we won't do, of course, the clock will never be accurate, because it has the wobble. Okay, as it's going around, it's going to wobble. And eventually, as this nut works its way loose, about like that, we're going to get more and more wobble. So as we go around, we see that we have the wobble. And what that means is it won't be accurate. Okay, so we could, if we wanted to go into this, we could go ahead and make a spacer to go on this out of a piece of brass tubing or copper tubing even, or other materials. But that defeats our purpose, because as we're working like everyone else to make money and maximize our effort, that's going to take us probably another half hour to fit it, as well as other time to cut it, and it's not worth it. What we did is I had my secretary speak with Klockit today, and they suggested that it was kind of tricky to put these hands on, and it is rather tricky when the hands aren't sized to the movement. So they suggested we send the hands back. As a matter of business, that costs money, takes time, takes effort, and it's not advantageous. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and file our hands to use them later on some other movement. Obviously not the Quartz. This is the other hand, and you can see that there was no mistake in the boring. They're all just as loose. So we put it away, and we obtain hands from our other standard suppliers, which we are all grateful to have. Thank you.